Hello friends, welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make no-bake chocolate oatmeal cookies. So what we have on my counter is what we're going to use to make these cookies, and the best thing about these cookies is they have such a fudgy great taste to them. They're wonderful, and this isn't just something you would make for the holidays. You can make this anytime you want to. The best thing about it is you're just basically going to mix up some of these ingredients in a pot, get it to boiling, add a few more ingredients later, shape them into cookies, put them on the counter to cool or in the refrigerator, and you pretty much are done. There really isn't that much you have to do, and the ingredients are easy to mix together, and it's just something that once you have these, they are so great to eat, and they will disappear quickly because they taste that good. So let's go ahead and get our stuff together and get ready to make these. You're going to need a large pot to begin with, because we're going to start with a half a cup of unsalted butter in this, which is 8 tablespoons. And we're going to melt this down a little bit before we add our next ingredient. So go ahead and move them around the pan. You are going to be on a medium-high heat for this. So we just want to get this stuff melted a bit, and then we're going to move on. So as you can see, just break them up a bit before we go ahead with our sugar. So next thing we're going to add is a cup and a half of white granulated sugar. And once we get this in, we're going to add to that a half of a cup of packed brown sugar. And then on top of that, we are going to add a fourth of a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to go ahead and mix this together a bit before we do anything else, because we want to go ahead and break up the sugar into the butter and get everything kind of working together, get that salt all through it, so that way everything is a little mixed together before we move on to do anything else. And it won't take long before the butter works its way into the sugar. So keep mixing it up, and as I said, this is on a medium to high heat, so this is actually helping you a little bit with melting that butter down if it isn't completely melted, and getting these things incorporated into it. Now once we get this mostly done, we're going to add a half a cup of milk to this, and then we're going to mix it up a little bit more. And just make sure that the sugar and everything is really mixing through the milk. And as you can see, it should be heating up for right now, because even though we're putting in some ingredients that aren't heated already, it's still going to actually work to heat it up as we keep stirring this through. And then we're going to add a fourth of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, and we're going to mix that in. Now it's going to take a moment to stir this into it because you have this dry powder you're trying to work into what you already had in the pan. That's okay. Just keep stirring it. The whole key to this right now is getting that temperature up, because we want to stir this all together, get it completely mixed through to where this looks like one unified thing before it gets to a boil. Because once it starts boiling, we want to get it up to a good rapid rolling boil, and you're going to let it go for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes past that, and then that's when it's ready to use. So go ahead, keep stirring it, get this temperature up, and then when we get to that boil, we'll deal with the next phase of it. So for now, stir it, and you're going to want to stir this continuously as it's all getting mixed together, because you want to keep that in there. And even as it's getting to a boil, you want to make sure that you do periodically stir it so it doesn't burn on the bottom. Now mind you, you don't have to stir it for every second, but you do need to make sure that the bottom gets scraped and stirred so that way it doesn't burn. So go ahead and keep this going. Now as you get it mixed together and you keep going through it as the heat comes up, you'll notice that some of the lumps and things will disappear from your pan, because at first it's going to be a little lumpy because you've added these dry ingredients into wet, and really you have to work it to get it in there. But the hotter it gets, the more they will work together, disappear, and it actually will incorporate everything together. And when you get it all together, it's going to have a nice brownish look to it, which means you're not going to see other colors from things that got put in separately. It's all going to look like one solid thing. And like I said, the goal here is a rolling rapid boil, and this is what you're going to see at first as it's getting there. So like I said, once you get that rolling boil going, you want to go at least a minute and a half, 2 minutes past that, because that's going to help this to set up later once we get it really cooked through and ready to use. Now once this is done and we've had that like minute and a half, 2 minutes pass, we're going to transfer this into a bowl that we can mix the other ingredients into. So you need to be really careful. This is going to be very hot. You do not want to burn yourself with this, so please take your time, don't get burned. So when this is in the bowl, we're going to add some more to it. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a half a cup of peanut butter. And once we get that into the bowl, we're going to mix this up because the heat from the liquid that came from your pot is going to melt the peanut butter, but it's also going to help you while you're stirring this around to mix in your vanilla extract. But you want to work this until all the peanut butter is dissolved. That way you don't have lumps, you don't have any bits of it. It's all going to be worked into the mix that's in the bowl. Now this will take a couple minutes to do, but keep swirling it around, use your spoon or whatever to break it up continuously, just mix it through. And then we are going to add 3 cups of oats to this. Now, here's the thing. If this is a little wet when you put your 3 cups of oats in there, you can add a little bit more oats to it to actually firm it up, make it a little bit thicker. I wouldn't add a lot at one time. If you think you need to add a little more, you can add about 1/4 of a cup at a time until you mix it through to make sure that it's right. Because if you put too much in there, there's no way you're going to save this because this chocolatey liquid is already made up for this. And you only have so much of it. The oats you can actually put in a little at a time and actually compensate. So this is my 3 cups of oats. I'm going to go ahead and mix this through. And you want to stir this until all the oats are coated with the chocolate. So that way we can make sure that everything is incorporated. It's all good. Because you don't want this to be like a cookie you break into and find that there are white oats inside because they didn't get mixed. So work it around the sides, the bottom of your bowl. Make sure all of this is mixed together. And it'll take a couple minutes and then you will have this completely mixed through. And then after this, we're going to take a baking sheet, put some parchment paper over it, and this is the best way to actually set these things up, and use like a cookie scoop to scoop them out, sit them onto the parchment paper, and then you could literally put this in your refrigerator, put it on your counter or whatever, and they're going to sit up. As they cool, they'll like thicken up. Now that way they'll be less sticky and they won't have that tacky feeling when you touch the outside of it. And once they're set up completely, they're just like a fudgy cookie with oats and you're ready to eat them. And it has just the best taste about it because there's so much in here to actually make this taste really good. Now you can make these as big or as small as you want. You can make them thick if you want. It's your choice. The way I'm doing them, they're pretty big. I got about probably 18 of these out of my mix. However, if you do smaller ones, you could get up to like 24 if you wanted to. And mind you, it's your choice how thick you want them to be. Now I'm using a cookie scoop, so I kind of get consistent with this. However, they're not all going to come out looking the same because they never do. It's just the nature of what we're making here. But the best thing about it is this is really easy to do. There's not that much work involved, and they basically set up by themselves. You just put them onto the parchment paper, leave them be, and let them do their own thing. And then that way, as it sits and cools, you've got what you set out for, a really great chocolatey cookie that you didn't have to bake in the oven, and it's really quick to do. And when it's done, it looks something like this, and these have the best fudgy taste you're going to find, and they're just a wonderful treat to have whenever. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out my cookbooks, which are available in bookstores worldwide. The first is all about everyday cooking. The second is all about baking. Have a great day.